Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Headspace Podcast. And today we are going to review the brand new Classify album, Tomorrow Could Be the Day Things Change. My name is HSR.
My name is Chris Chrome.
And if you want to skip my intro drivel, you can do that in the description of this video. You will see the timestamp for that. Basically, this is a show where we talk about the album and we go through the album song by song, giving our thoughts and our opinions as regular folk who do normal life things, plus dabble in music and stuff. And then we make this podcast to study albums and learn and grow together as a community. That's the goal, at least. We care a lot about your comments and your interactions, and basically we read all of them. I at least respond to all of them, and to give some love, I try to start everything with our favorite comment from last week's video. And last week we talked about the latest Atmosphere album, which is pretty fucking great, and you should check that out. The album, it's an amazing album of the year contender. But nice. We got a comment from the Scribble official account where he said, "Love Atmosphere since I heard the Overcast album when I was 8 years old. They're always release quality shit, good shit. Just a reminder, Kid Rock, Early Morning Stone Pimp." Now, Scribble has requested this album on several occasions. I wanted to know if you, internet, do you want to see us talk about Kid Rock's Early Stone Pimp? Do you want to hear Bonnie talk about Kid Rock? You let us know in the comments if you're interested in that. Let us know how it goes. But before we jump into the episode, wanted to give some quick love to our patrons: Ismail Gadamsi, Linda Williams, Super Old School 1994, and Chris Prado, the newcomer. Welcome. And we'll talk a bit about that at the end of the video. And now I think it's time to start. Chris, why don't you actually introduce the album, which is just repeat its name for keyword equity as search engine optimization purposes. They have voice robots that scan the audio, so you should say your shit a lot at the beginning.
So for this week's Headspace podcast album review, we went with Classified, Tomorrow Could Be the Day Things Change.
That's right. That's the one that we went with. Chris, how well do you know Classified?
So I know Classified. I've heard some of his songs. I just never actually truly followed him. I had some buddies of mine that were into him, went to the concert last time he was here, that at least I know of. But this is actually the first project I'm sitting down with, and
okay, it's okay.
Is it though?
No, it's not, because this is Canada hip hop, man. That's why we're talking about this. I don't care. Anybody could have dropped an album today. I'm lying. If Kendrick dropped an album, we would not be talking about Luke. I'm just throwing it out there, but he didn't, so we are talking about Classified. But I'm a pretty big fan of the dude. I discovered him a decade ago, for real. I think it was 18, 19, or whenever Hitchhiking music dropped. I think it was 2006 or something. So I got that album, bought it in the store, and then Self-Explanatory, and then I think Handshakes and Middle Fingers. Anyway, I ended up going through 4 or 5 of his discs, actually listening to them multiple times, really getting into it. And for me, he's got so many hits, Oh Canada, I guess, is a pop one. Inner Ninja is a pop one and stuff. But for me, I think it was All About You way back. That song really got me. But what really blew me out the water is on the Oh Canada album. I can't remember which one it is the Choose Your Own Adventure series that he threw onto this album. I'd never seen anything like that before done with a project. Where on the disc it would end and be if you want Classified to ride a bike, go to track 7. If you want Classified to go downtown, go to track 12. And it kind of went through it like that. It was pretty fucking proper. And I don't know. I guess as a Canadian, seeing some cool Canada hip-hop and seeing him just grind through forever and then, pop off with some shit I'm Not Classy. I remember when I'm Not Classy dropped. It just felt so fancy. He just come so far. It was so cool to see that happen. I don't know. As far as Canadian underground music goes, I would say he's pretty much one of the coolest I know. I don't know. I like him. I guess I've said that a whole bunch. Anyway,
What do you think about the album art?
Well, let's start just by mentioning earlier this year, I kind of skimmed through when he dropped the EP version of this with Tomorrow Could Be ... And it was like the dark side of the album and kind of like peeling back a bit, if I'm not mistaken. And you could kind of see the bright side, but it was not really done yet. And so now we've got the full like experience. So it's Tomorrow Could Be the Day Things Change. So the title's now full. It's not like half done. And on that note, it's like Tomorrow Could Be, and it's nighttime and it's all dark or whatever. And it kind of feels and alludes to some hardship or whatever dark phase of your life, etc. But once the nighttime's over, like the new day comes, and it just feels so positive and bright, and everything's good and everything's copacetic. And I just like it. It's like some beautiful, I'm assuming Nova Scotian landscape, and it just has a cool effect using the kind of just day and night contrast with the title. It really works well to me, and it makes me feel like there's gonna be some more positive, some more uplifting. Like it's not gonna be no gangster rap shit, you know. Like we're not gonna necessarily get, I guess, some of the, I don't know, it's not going to be a regular pop album. It's going to be like a personal self-discovery type project is what I feel, you know?
Yep, I get that same feeling. I think there was going to be lessons, experiences that he wants to explain and kind of show us, like, because I agree with the whole, like, the dark struggle on the dark side and then finding like the light, or like the light at the end of the tunnel. Not at the tunnel, but finding that happiness there, that spark of wanting to continue. So I was really just interested, and what I really liked is the color schemes that he used for the type of for the album cover. Like the dark side is kind of like dawn or dusk, whichever one's like later.
Yeah.
Right. And then the other side is kind of like it's still like kind of like a new day, midday, trying to like the most brightest part you can kind of see it about. And it was just pretty cool. Like the whole his brand in yellow was really just kind of stands out there. It was very nice.
Fair. So there's 13 songs off of this Tomorrow Could Be the Day Things Change album for us to review. Oh yeah, keyword time. So let's talk about Don't Stop.
Things change, yeah, I talk a big game, but back it up like King James when I hear him say.
I think to sum this up in a sentence, Classified isn't going to stop rhyming. He's established. He's here. But Chris, why don't you break it down and tell us what you think about this track?
Well, I think it's more than just not stopping to rhyme. I think it's like stopping that grind that we always talk about. That wanting to push forward and succeed and finding a sense of peace. I like how I get this sense of like, again, like don't lose hope in yourself. Self pride and belief that you, and confidence is what it is. Confidence that you can continue moving forward. I like how he said, I saw the sunshine rising and my life changed. I like right away it gave me the thought of the album title, the album cover. I feel like he finally saw that light I was talking about a little earlier, and he's kind of just being more like, yes, positivity, there's hope, we can get this through. I like when he was like, at 25, I built an enterprise. I built a life that I won't jeopardize. I can't stop it with the weed talk, because yesterday...
How did you skip over the freaking Game of Thrones bars right after that? I tried to tell them winter's coming, and they say Winterfell. Get it? Psh. Okay, go on.
Okay, no, that's my mistake, only because those are supposed to be two different points.
I know, I'm just sorry. I had to give love to that pretty good Game of Thrones bar. And the album came out.
Who doesn't give a fuck?
It's not the point. It's a good bar, and it came out.
It is a good bar. I get it.
And what month are we?
October.
So what's coming? Winter. Thank you.
Halloween, and then my birthday, and then Christmas.
My birthday's first. Okay, go on. Go
on. Okay, so at 25, I built an enterprise. I built a life that I won't jeopardize. I like that line. I like how he's holding on to like what he's like. He's acknowledging and letting us know like there's so much he's worked for, and all that hard work and dedication does pay off. True. That he still doesn't want to jeopardize everything he's maybe not received or got, but actually worked for, right?
Or just like tarnish the reputation and the legacy.
That too. I can't stop it with the weed talk, because yesterday I made a grand off of weed stock, and they still telling me that I'm wrong. Check your facts, stupid. Disappointment builds character. Adapt to it.
I just gotta like cut in I know of quite a few really rich folk who have invested heavily in weed stock. It is quite a thing to invest in, I imagine, if you have big money, because you can afford to take that loss.
Does he? Does he?
But
Question.
I mean,
Like, does he actually mean weed stock, like stock
Like,
prices, or does
yeah, I
is
feel
it like
like
a
he-
play on word where he's like dealing? Because that's how I kind of took it. Like
see,
he's
I don't think it's stealing. I think it's like a legitimate like statement. I think he's like, I mean, because it's you can invest in Canadian
Right.
weed companies, and so considering the state of that industry with the stock prices kind of going to fuck up and everything being done, it's entirely possible that he actually did make $1,000 off of weed stocks, not necessarily selling pot, but it also could be that he's growing it legally, you know, but that's a good point. Either way, the fact is, it's like, it went from being such a discredited thing. Like, y'all got to realize, as of like what, I don't know, this is going to come out maybe Saturday, Sunday, I don't know, depends on when it's done rendering. And, on Wednesday of this week, marijuana is legal in this country. Like, in theory, we could smoke a joint right here on this podcast, and it would be totally legit, because we might lose YouTube money, but, like, fuck, it would not be illegal or even a problem. It would be the same as drinking. So, I don't know. I guess he's just, with that, the entire industry is set up that there are so many avenues for him to have made $1,000 off a pot.
That's why I wanted to talk about the part where he goes, and they still tell me that I'm wrong. Check your facts, stupid. Disappointment builds character. Adapt to it.
Go on.
Right, I like that part. How he's kind of saying like, you're only mad at me because I took different chances or risks and I made different opportunities. And now that you see the benefit, like you see what's happening, that might change you. That might influence you to be different. But it took you that long to get there.
Yeah. I mean, this song is really strong.
And then the only other line I also liked, which I thought was really a cool point, was, what if heaven and hell ain't a place you go to die, but it's a state of mind you live or you're alive? And that's just, it's a cool concept. It's something that leaves you thinking. It's something that it stuck with me at the end of the song, and I was like, let me replay that back. Let me see if there's anything else that he says that's like really, for me, that was pretty deep. Like it's just, it's something you got to think about.
I mean, it's kind of like saying that regardless of religious connotations, whether you perceive your life here on earth as heaven or hell, or the difference between that kind of thing, it's really just choices and decisions and perceptions and whatnot. I mean, I believe a lot that you can see things in a way where even dire circumstances become just opportunities and gateways. So shit sucks. And it's often awful for long periods of times, but you can make great things out of awful situations. And I think he's right about that perception-based thing. Not like uniformly, there are some very shitty circumstances out there, but I'd say for the vast majority of people out there, I don't know, it's a pretty good line.
Overall, I do like the beat. I think it's pretty dope.
Yeah.
It's got this kind of like smooth, vibey feel to it. But overall, the song landed at a 4.5. It was a 4 on 5, my bad. It was a good start to the album.
I gave it a 4 as well. I don't really like the beat that much. I understand what kind of a beat it is, and it's actually not even badly made. And if I'm not mistaken, like he's involved in the production of beats, etc. The thing is it's just not my style. And it's a bit slower, the whole vibe, and he has some good stuff to say. But like I'm coming off this poetry vibe of atmosphere, and this is a little more direct. And maybe that's an unfair bias to apply, but I like a lot of what he's saying in the song. But it was okay. It was a little short. It was one verse. You basically quoted most of the great talkable lines, and I already threw in my opinions there, so I'm not gonna restate it. But fundamentally, he rhymes really well. He's very clear. He enunciates properly. Very good on-point rhythm. It's very like 90s hip-hop in a sense in what he's going for. He never really
I feel like
left that old school vibe. Like that's what he's been forever, and I appreciate that he sticks to his roots, because to me, it makes it more pure and admirable. But the sound of this one is just, it's a good song. But it's not one that like I'm going to really remember after the fact. It's a good introduction to this project. It is nice to have this like affirmation that he knows that he's going to keep at it, right? Like he's going to keep making projects, and it's a cool way to start this thing. It's almost like starting on a really big high note, which I thought was cool. So I gave it a 4 over the sound, not necessarily the quality. It just wasn't really one of my favorite songs on the project, but it was a good starting point. Anyway, next one is Damn Right.
Let me street, but the numbers speak like, come on, it's going down, I'm about to free fall, I hold it down.
I like this beat way more. It's just so much more alive and fun. It's got this really boom boppy kind of bop your head feel to it. I could just
some
picture
rock elements as well.
I could just picture myself like at a party just like this. But it's a good sound for me. I really dug it.
High energy to it.
And I feel like lyrically, he's just kind of flossing his skills as an MC a little bit. He's not really trying to say that much. He's just kind of saying, this is who I am, and I'm going to spit it, but with, like, kind of his current state of bars, you know? Like, straight from the motherfucking field, everything I do is too real, too ill. They said they want rap shit, gotta give him rap shit. Run your city with the gritty boom box shit. Yeah, that's who he is. He's just giving you almost like a mission statement. This is the kind of rhymes. The people say they wanted it, I'm delivering it.
Right.
And there are tons of people who claim they want it. I did not see Classified getting to play that this kind of music maybe deserves. I don't know. Yell to the world, but and it just kind of rolls on through. I think what's super significant, is stuff a little bit later on in this verse. I'm locked and loaded. This is for survival. Fuck fame. It killed my idols, Biggie and Michael. And ain't nobody talking, making any sense. Like people at the show still sitting in the sense. That's beautiful to me.
Yes.
Because he's not really like a celebrity. And there's a difference between like being like a person of fame and being a celebrity. A celebrity, it's all about like being in the attention per se, whereas a famous person is just somebody who has fame.
But I like how he's self-aware of that.
Yeah, and he's like, he's seen the disastrous impact of what fame has done to people like his idols. I'm assuming it's Michael Jackson and whatever, the drugs and whatnot, and the press and how it made him have some issues. And then, well, Biggie's story is pretty clear. The fame didn't do Biggie a lot of favors in that regard. But, like, at the same time, it's almost like how the fame makes people kind of sound like fucking morons sometimes. And you've seen countless interviews, I bet, of people sounding stupid because they're so famous and blinded from reality that they can't function. And it's interesting, And then the last line is really the one that stuck out the most to me. Like, it doesn't make any sense that you go to a fucking concert and pay to sit down. Like what the? Why am I spending $70?
No, that's the thing, because it's
like people at the show still sitting in the stands.
But because it doesn't make sense.
That's
You're supposed to be so hype.
That's my point.
Oh,
we're saying the same thing. As I love that line.
No,
because I know a lot of people
sit at the Bell Center.
Yeah, but who does? Why are you? What are you spending money to go sit for?
But that's the thing. If he's trash, I'm sitting. But that doesn't. But that's what doesn't make sense. I feel like it's like a
Why
super
are you going to
deep
see
play
somebody
on
who's trash? Why are you spending money to go?
Well, I don't know if he's trash. If he's rando.
Anyway, I really love the start of the second verse, though. Let me nibble on your nipple and tickle you till you giggle, baby. I keep it dirty since I was simple in the middle. If I scribble these riddles to spin your head like a swivel, I'll talk my way out of pickles. You talking so superficial. Love it. He's going to please the lady with the nipple play. Like anybody that's going to start off a verse talking about licking some nipples and shit, and in a fun little giggly way, and it is a little bit of a giggly action. She tends to giggle if you lick the nipples. And then he just kind of uses his wordplay to get himself out of jams, while other people are kind of superficial and fake with that shit, I just really liked it. Keep it hardcore, like parkour. Because parkour, if you watch the really good ones, is some hardcore shit. I mean, I've seen some parkour. I remember in like 2006 when everybody was jumping over roofs and shit.
Yeah.
I'm not into parkour myself because I'm not in the greatest shape of life. Anyway, he kind of blows on through. And what I have to say a lot about this is, it's a really fun song, and he really flexes his ability to do like a more upbeat, fast-paced, bouncy, rhyming kind of style, and I think it really does it's a lot more fun. I like this way more than the introduction song. I gave it a 4.25. It's a really great experience. It really is, but like, I don't know if I'm 100% committed to coming back to this song, but like at the same time, if this came on, I'd really vibe to this. Like this is why I'm not 100% sure if this one is completely locked into my long-term arsenal. You know what I mean?
I like that. I also gave it a 4.25. We're like we're the same grade so far through the last two tracks. Verse 2, I like when he goes, I took my life into my own hands like crisscross. And I started thinking, like, It sounds hip hoppy. It sounds old school hip hoppy. It's got that boom bap feel. It's got everything that we kind of got from the last track, just a little bit better, more amplified, more energetic, more hype. But on the chorus, he goes, I don't know if it's him or if it's whoever, but 2 turntables and a mic, wiggity wiggity, whip the microphone. That's goddamn right. And I feel like he's paying homage to Criss Cross, the song, Jump.
Why? Oh, I guess
well,
so.
Criss Cross is the band, and Wiggity Wiggity Whack is a lyric in the song.
You're right.
So I feel like he's paying homage to them. But that was one aspect. My other aspect was, I feel like he's also kind of like validating how long he's been like listening to hip hop, like how long he's like been in the game. You can say interested in his influence and his influences. For him. So that was pretty cool. I really enjoyed the energy through that. I like the instruments. I like how it has this rock element to it, with the guitars and the drums and the quick pace to those instruments. Yeah, I left it with a 4.25.
And Chris is going through changes. I see no changes. Wake up.
My old friends' new songs, they don't listen to rap like back when. They all grew up, kind of moved on, and how could I blame?
Right, so here we have him being all reflective and stuff over this like super serious beat, really solemn. Like you just feel it ooze. Like even the beat oozes maturity. You know what I mean? Like the calmer kind of drum pattern, the do 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 kind of feel to it.
Right.
Anjulie, I guess that's what it is in the chorus. With shadow swimming in my head, I don't mind. See, I'm not gonna let me go crazy. Not this time. I'm going through changes. I'm gonna make it for sure. I'm going through changes, but I've been here before, and I guess that's kind of encouraging in a sense, right? Because like you imagine that like every few years you probably hit that like crossroads of life moments where everything falls apart and you're depressed and you gotta make changes and you gotta figure out a whole new strategy and shit. I feel like that's the essence of what like it's coming off. But he knows he's been here and he knows he can handle this shit and he knows he's got it. And I think it's that like deeper like understanding of the situation of recognizing the patterns of what it is and knowing that you can navigate these waters because you've been there before. Now that's encouraging to me. That makes me feel like whatever I'm gonna have to face in the future, even if it's hard, I can do it, like because you can fall back on that experience you built up. I don't know. It was really nice. And then, yeah, he kind of goes into these verses where he's kind of like almost
I feel like there's like some self-reflecting. Like,
yeah.
Verse 1 kind of feels like he went through a little bit of a depressed phase. Didn't really take care of himself. Like, he just kind of like for like
shower,
a week.
shave, same clothes for a week, just was grungy.
You kind of get this feeling like, he's like walking out kind of like zombified or whatnot. But a line in the first verse that really hit me was, now I worry about my daughter, if my daughter can make it home from school without me. But still at the same time, as I'm writing this rhyme, I'm in my kitchen, my daughter's telling me about her day, and I hear her, but I'm not really listening.
Because he's putting the words to this together.
And it's like that type of self-reflection is pretty cool to see. As well, it's also I feel like he's kind of giving this parallel, like there's certain sacrifices you make to provide for certain people. Like, granted, he's not listening to her about her day, but he feels like if he makes this track, he can provide for her in the long run.
But at the same time, it's like this awareness of like almost this hypocrisy of like, yeah, I care so much about her that I'm worried about her safety and shit, but I'm not even willing to like take time out of my day to like focus on her, And like, because I mean, part of the verse, if I'm not mistaken, it ends on this tone of like, maybe I gotta behave differently because there's like this bigger impact to my actions, And I really appreciate that. But he also like addresses ideas like, maybe I'm a has-been, like, no, I don't, but it's like he's like, I still don't feel like a has-been. I don't, but it's like a ghost town up in the studio. Nobody comes around here no more. And it's like, you really got this sense that he's looking around at his career. He's getting a little bit older. Maybe it isn't quite like it was 10 years ago when every day's a party and you're always up and about because now he's got his family and all this other shit. But he still makes all his music. I'm certain he's financially set off of his catalog and he can bang out albums and it pays his bills. I mean, I don't think he's I mean, Canadian artists don't make quite as much as maybe other people, but I'm certain that he's in that 10% who can live off their music. That's it. 10% of rappers in Canada actually live off of their art. 90% of rappers have jobs. You know, and then that second verse comes through and he's like confused about the state of music, where things are going culture wise, but like, you know, just with all the drug induced things. But I like how he's like, but I only smoke spliffs because of Snoop. So it's like, how am I judging these kids for maybe doing some lean and Xannies over their music when realistically it's the same type of shit that influenced me at a certain point?
Well, actually, I wanted to quote that, and I know right before the Snoop line, and I know I'm so indecisive these days, and musically I feel confused. But now, oh no.
Don't know what I'm liking these days. I'm just taking the time to check out all the new shit plus all the drugs they do, and I know I'm a hypocrite, whatever. So yeah, I mean, to me, it's an interesting look. It's like, to me, I like that honesty. Like, I don't necessarily like what's happening, but how am I supposed to like judge it? Because it's not really that different than what I went through.
But I like how he's also kind of giving them a chance. Like, he's not like kind of shunning out the new artists and stuff. He's kind of like taking the time to make that effort.
But what I really like is how he follows it up with weed. Now, like, the thing about weed is a lot of people make it sound like it's the scariest thing in the world because they're fucking morons. But then there's the other group of people who I don't want to call morons, but they kind of downplay any side effects of weed that aren't positive. Like, there are no negative side effects to chain smoking joints. And I like how Classified's willing to like bring some light to that. Like, glad it was just weed, but I'm even with that, I'm noticing I'm losing my passion. I'm getting too high. It's harder to focus. With all my pothead friends, they take pride in it. Now, I do want to go on a bit further, but I do want to stop and be like, I don't like being around people. Most people I know who smoke a lot of weed, I don't like being around them because of how much they glorify it. Like, getting high is a cool thing per se, and I'm not really a stranger to it, but like, it's just not the culture side of it being cool and being proud of consuming it like it's the coolest shit in the world. I never understood that personally, the way rap glorifies it and stuff. I don't really understand it myself. I understand people who do it. But
I mean, I feel like because I just had a thought, I feel like the way rap glorifies it, the more and more we've done like album reviews and I've heard different types of messages, meanings or whatever, I feel like the glorification is what media does in a way. I feel like the song itself isn't trying to glorify the fact that the rapper's smoking weed. I think they're like trying to express that they're smoking weed to cope. Like I always feel
but
like
this is like, again though, it's more like him and his friends. But like, listen, man, it's like there's two types of pot smokers I find. There's the types of people who smoke a joint and want to play video games, watch movies, like chill out and kind of burn the day away. And then there's the type of people who get high and grind, right? And I know which type I am, and I know that a lot of people out there don't like being around me because I don't like to stop and play video games and shit in those moments. You know, it's all about grinding in my eyes. But at the same time, if you go too hard or you can find yourself easily having the best intentions in a day, and the next thing you know, it's completely fucking gone. And to deny that that's not a possibility, or that you spend $60 on fucking food because you wanted to get that extra large poutine thing that you totally are never going to. Poutines are awesome. Google them if you don't know what they are. Like this giant thing, and then you leave it in your fridge, and you're like, well, that looks disgusting the next day. Why did I buy this? And anyway, but then I like how he follows it up with, his alcoholic friends are denying it because, there's a lot of people out there who drink every day, excessive amounts, judge a bunch of weed smokers, and pretend like they don't got problems. That's a real thing. And then, all my cokehead friends, they're still hiding it because a bunch of y'all probably do coke. That's not for me. I've never tried it. I'm scared of that shit. But a bunch of folk out there probably do, and it reacts, and you got to hide that. And I kind of like how he's looking at it. And, like, I'm in my 30s now, so what he just painted out there sounds like the realest shit I ever done heard. That's all I'm going to say. I've seen all of that happen. And so I kind of dig that. And then I like how in the third verse, it's kind of like more addressing his struggle with music, where he's kind of doubting his confidence and his ability to make things happen and all of that shit. And it used to be like how he begged his fans, and now it's like his fans are kind of
telling him to continue
because they're his source. It's almost like a mini Eminem situation.
Well, what they say is like, and then fans sent him messages stating that his music saved their life. like literally took them off the track. So he started, I guess, in a way, a lot of like the darkness that was maybe throughout some of the song, a lot of the struggle and the pain that was kind of being expressed, is now you're finding that light where it's like, you know, I had fans that are telling me like they need me, and I can feel that energy. I feel like, you know, you kind of get this sense that he's really in this to like have people listen. He doesn't really care for money or whatnot. Is that he's trying to.
Well, I think it's more like he wanted to give up in a sense, but realizing how many people have found so much value in his music, how could you? Evidently, like, there is a reason for him to keep going. Like, I find it refreshing to hear his music. Sometimes, like, I'm not going to say it was a 4.5. So far, it's my favorite one we've heard. And even the other ones that I don't necessarily think are, like, 4.5s, there's a refreshingness to Classified and the subject matter he goes on about. He's so human. It's kind of like he just seems like this kind of dope-ass, regular-ass Canadian guy. Not like you know, you just want to hang out with him and drink a couple brewskis and then go play hockey, you know, like, and he has that feel to him, and it's not negative. You don't get this negative energy from him. It's about the music. It's about the grind. It's about positive energies and shit, and he's lived that for a while now. So I feel like, I don't know, it must have a bunch of people who have been inspired by that, and that keeps him going, and that kind of cycle. And I don't know, it's kind of nice to show that appreciation, but also the transition from having to have begged for that affection to relying on these people who are believing in him, you know, more than he believes in himself. I thought it was a beautiful way to end the song. 4.5 on 5.
I give it a 4.3. I feel like I like the song in all of it, but I feel like it's not just really my type of sound per se.
That's fair. Well, 10 years into the future, we'll be talking about albums, hopefully.
Then we bike ride, high five to the good buzz when the sun set, when the night sky had us.
Is your girlfriend already messaging you?
No, go.
They're already happening.
No.
All I can say is I recognize the girl's voice on that chorus. I don't know who it is, but this whole beat reminded me of Inner Ninja. I mean, I know it's not exactly the same, but maybe it's the same chords or the same something. Just it felt a little bit different, but it had that kind of silly, fun, friendly tone to this track, and it's got a cool concept. It kind of it's basically the 7 years old concept from that, like, Luke somebody's guy, you know, when I was 7 years old.
Right.
Anyway, that song. Where, like, each verse kind of sequentially brings you farther along in life and expresses, I guess Kendrick did it too with Fear.
I mean, I've heard different interpretations of that type of theory and how that concept comes to life. But I like how he gives us, Classified gave us a story, I guess, about how he dealt with certain changes and dealt with certain things. You know, you start off when he was 10 years old, they're talking about playing in the sandbox or like just chilling around, being with the homies on the block, doing whatever you got to do. Then he's like into the second verse, he moves into being in his 20s, struggling about money, finances,
getting girls.
But like this is where it got interesting. I feel like I feel like it's his personal story, because I feel like the girl that he meets at the end of the second verse,
she's like, you don't have to go, you can stay.
Right?
And
I
then
feel
he
like that's the one
he's like responding to her singing the chorus with the little interlude.
Like, here we go, and I feel like we're gonna go all the way, and
it's like you don't gotta go what if you don't want to go. And then I like his little what, like he's so confused that he found some girl. It's like, nah, you can stay, let's have breakfast. You can stay and I'll be fine. He's like, okay, that sounds nice. To be honest, man, this life is crazy. He's like, I know, I don't want to lose my mind. Yeah, and then we doing it all. Oh, here I go. Oh, whatever.
Right. And then I feel like in the third verse, he's talking about her.
Yeah, and he's got his whole family. He's got the kid, but he's also kind of showing, because it starts off in the first verse about him and his, like, it's almost like grown-ups. The plot of Grown Ups, the 4 friends, and now they're all adults. So it starts off and they like reminisce about being little kids, and that's what that first verse is. Yeah. All right, and they go through that, and then in the middle part, they're in like the middle, and this is honestly the first like 3 scenes of Grown Ups. To be fair, is the first 2 verses of this song.
Well, that's
And then,
because that's how they introduce everybody. Really.
And then like there's the between the 20s and whatever, and he's just kind of talking about how this struggle's changed, whatever. And then in that 3rd verse, it's kind of like, well, he's got kids, he's got his family, things are so different, but every now and again, we do have those get-togethers. Might be at house parties instead of clubs. Things have changed and stuff, but it's kind of like encouraging and shit. It's kind of like really fun. It's got such a cool vibe to it in regards to what kind of a song it is. The beat's really fun. It felt so much like Inner Ninja that it bothered me a bit, but it was still kind of fun. I can get past that. And then he kind of is thinking back on the old days, and then he'll soon be 40, and then in a while he'll be able to write the next verse of this song. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, 4.25 is what I gave this one. I recommend it, but it's not like one of my favorites on the album. It's just kind of, this is where I feel like is the average level of this album, and it's right there in the average of this album.
I gave it a 4, and I feel the same way. I feel like this song was cool, but it didn't really stand out to me. I like, the honesty and how he's feeling and the reminiscing and going back and all this, and I like the concept of how he's like, at the end, it's kind of like today will be tomorrow, and tomorrow I will say like how things have been different and such like that. Like I like that idea of it, but the song was not like anything too over the top. So 4 on 5.
All right, on October 17th will be a momentous day in Canada because we'll finally be able to walk into a store and buy legal marijuana.
This indica, this a T-bug, got me blessed like Mother Teresa. Forget my woes like amnesia when
October 17th is going to be an interesting day because all of a sudden it gets more complicated to smoke weed than when it was illegal. I'm just going to throw it out there. Where I work, I could currently go and smoke a joint in public and it would probably be okay and nobody would mind because cops ignore that behavior in Montreal.
Right.
Because of the specific section I work in, it will soon be super illegal because now the cops can give me a ticket for smoking in public in that borough. So you're not allowed to smoke in public. I don't know if that includes I think it includes cigarettes and shit, and they're just like banning everything. And that's what happens because of legalization. Plus, the cops have fancy drug testing machines. Plus, the cops are getting trained to recognize legally bought weed. Plus, the weed that you smoke outside, you have to have proof that you bought it. Plus, it's going to be a clusterfuck. It's going to be weird. That's all I'm trying to say. Legalization is a strange topic in Canada. I like when he goes in the first verse, though. This is a fucking love song for
You
weed.
literally just tore the entire, fun out of it.
No, man. Canadian legalization of weed isn't fun. It's a very scary topic to me. It is actually going to be easier to go to jail as a Canadian who smokes and consumes marijuana, depending on where you are in the country, after legalization than it is now, where, the only way to go to jail is if they catch you with, an ounce fucking broken up into dime bags or something. Then you're a bit in trouble because of intent to distribute charges, which are pretty harsh. But as long as that ounce is in a big old ounce bag or it's a bunch of joints or something, they'll just take your weed and, tap you on the shoulder and say, go away. Hell, sometimes they'll let you keep it. But after October 17th, it's a lot more complicated because the Quebec government will be selling weed directly. They're going to have a monopoly on it, which means all weed that's not sold through the Quebec government is competing with the government's tax money, and we know how they all feel about that shit. So I don't know, it fucks me up a bit when I really think about how much more complicated. Plus, all landlords will be able to insert a clause into your lease banning you from smoking inside. 7 boroughs in Montreal, there's 20-something, whatever, but 7 little regions have said you can't smoke outside. And when you really look at the situation, it's just I know this isn't about the song. I'm sorry. This is just my little rant about Canadian weed laws. It's just, it sounded really good last year. I was like, oh, cool. I can finally maybe do some shit at the Christmas party and nobody's going to look at you funny. No. Now maybe depending on where the Christmas party is, it'll be illegal to smoke outside. It might be too close to a fucking park or something. I don't know. It's going to be weird and lots of tickets are going to be given out.
But it just sounds like we should all just if you partake, you should just quit.
I don't agree. I think that what you should do.
If I partake and I can't
here's the thing,
partake in my house.
But it depends on where you are. Maybe your landlord's G. I don't really know how bad it'll be. But all I'm saying is if you're in Montreal or Quebec have your guy. You can still get off of him if you're careful. Don't bring that shit outside. Go to the store and buy a little set, and then bring that home. And that's your outside weed. And then have your inside weed, and that should keep you covered. And don't bring more than 30 grams around in public, because that'll give you some hard times. Yo, man, look this shit up. I'm just giving you a PSA, because we're talking about legal marijuana. Oh, right, that's a song. We're doing a song review. Oh, fuck.
All right, so the song is kind of cool.
It comes in with that little cut from Oh Canada, and then it just is a love song to read.
It's not like one of those dopey love songs where it's like, I love weed, get high, blah blah blah. Like, first off, his father had back pain. He's alluding to Classified's alluding to his father smoking weed, and he goes and he goes, and I can list all the different ways that it brings relief and treat disease, glaucoma, PTSD, cancer, and epilepsy. And I feel like he's doing it in a way to kind of give like a positive, like we keep saying.
Oh, yeah, because he did have some negative earlier on the album.
Absolutely,
which is good balance, by the way.
So I feel like he's trying to give it this kind of break the stigma around smoking weed and like what it does to you. So there's that. And then I also like when and it's kind of what you said on the previous track. Yeah, I got kids, and when they not around, I probably go roll or something. Don't judge me. You've got kids, and every night you crack a beer right in front of them. Woo! And it's just, and that is something that's very strange. I feel like because of the fact that
that's Chris's art. That's how good it was.
I feel like because alcohol is not illegal, there's this like it's kind of like just, oh, I'm drinking in front of my kids. But for me, I feel like anything that changes your mental state or your mood or changes you should not be in front of your kids until they understand.
I mean, it's a little more complicated than that. I don't think you should. I don't think as people without kids that we're in a position to even have opinions really on the subject. Fair. I think it's a little fucked up to smoke in the same room as your kids, but I can't say that it's fucked up to have a glass of wine in front of your kids. Or have a beer in front of you. That's not fucked up to me. I think it's fucked up to get smashed in front of your kids. But, like, on the other hand, if one of you gets smashed and the other one's sober...
then take his
and then
line.
You have a sober... I'm saying that those people shouldn't judge potheads.
No, but then my question to you, like, take what Classified said. What about, like, a wine glass every night? Like, is that excessive to you?
I think it highly depends on the person. I think his point is, how are you going to judge my choice of stress release? You're assuming I'm going too hard with it. If he takes 5 puffs off a joint and then clips it and that's it for the night, you know? It's the same thing like you drinking a beer. We're not talking about going chain smoking in the room and puffing up the whole place. We're talking about, like, you know, and that's just, he's just trying to make that equivalency on how certain people are hypocrites. A lot of people, especially people who drink a lot, and especially people who drink and do cocaine and then judge potheads. Those people, I think, are kind of hypocriticals. But the idea that a person who is impaired can't be a parent is a little fucked up, because parents seem to be able to just snap into sobriety in those moments when they actually need to watch their kids. Don't just look at the horror stories you hear on the news.
Absolutely.
Anyway, yeah, this song just kind of goes through. It's got a really funky beat. It's got a really funky flow. He has a bunch of corny-ass lines where he mentions, like, weed strands and shit. I like Light It Up all day and every night. Yup, prohibition don't make no difference. You know, that is kind of like how Canadians been about. We're kind of lax with that, even whatever, maybe too loud, depending on what part of Canada you're in, I suppose. I'm in the east side, Canada. We're a little different than the west side. BC's pretty liberal too. We'll see how it all goes after next week. I'm a little tripping about that. But still, the song's cool. I gave it a 4.25. I feel like it's got such a funky, fresh vibe to it, but it's still a little vapid and kind of whatever. It's not really like a Weed's Great song. It's kind of like a He Loves Weed song, and then gives a few shallow reasons to it. But, like, whatever. It's got a good vibe, you know? Like, it's not anything. Girl Scouts cookies are fine. Names about weed. Weed names. What's your favorite weed strand name? I want to know, because there's some dumbass ones. One of the ones I saw that was most interesting recently was Cushy Kush. And because it was called Cushy Kush, anyway, y'all can catch.
I gave the song a 4. Can we move on?
Come on, what's your favorite strand? Cushy Kush. Anyway, 4.25. Chris, relax yourself. We're having a good conversation. Accept it.
Doctor, can you fix her? He answered, I don't think that I can, sir. Nah, no way. Mom's never.
Yo, all of a sudden the vibe gets mad serious, but I like it. It's a really good song. This is one of those deep ass, like, meaningful story songs where each verse takes on a really, really serious situation. The first verse really just kind of hit me. Like, my grandma just passed. Like, I was at the funeral yesterday type shit. So hearing this whole verse about, like, this dude whose mom gets cancer and they're like, can you fix her? He goes into denial and then she kind of dies, right? Like, it just kind of happens even though they can't, whatever. And then he questions, like, why can't they cure disease, etc. And, you know, having flashbacks to, like, all these better times in life, like when
Well, I mean, like I feel like hold on, you kind of overlooked that. When the kid, I don't know if it's classified or if it's just like the narrative, like
Right,
the story
whatever.
character goes and asks about, like, why can't they cure the disease. The father is the person responding,
yeah.
and he goes, when they find the cure to greed or something
yeah, that's
like
just
that.
a cheap shot at the pharmaceutical industry. Whatever, that's fine.
I mean, I think it's kind of powerful though. Like, that is a message that is like.
I think it's like a subtext of it. It is an honest point that he threw into the verse, but I don't know. I think it's more like, I felt more the part where he just kind of thought back on the life and how, like, the mom was there and telling you, don't marry that girl, it's gonna be a mistake. Then mom was there helping you raise those kids with that girl. It was a mistake. And, like, I don't know. My grandma was that kind of person, and she was always about the good advice. So I got really hit in the feels with that shit. Kind of hit me, kind of biased, whatever. And the chorus is nice. Just kind of thoughts and loves and stuff. And you just kind of get that feeling of, like, loss and sadness. And then that second verse, you can talk after whatever. That second verse kind of just has a different type of story, where it's a guy, a great father, whatever, and he's a soldier. He enlisted to reserves. He goes overseas.
I feel like that's part 2 of the first verse.
I
feel like he's like now a little bit grown up.
I think it's just a completely different, like, story.
Oh.
Well, to me, you gotta come let us know what you think. I thought it was just a completely, like, these are just two really hard circumstances that you have to learn how to accept it in those situations, because there's, like, nothing else you can do. Like when your husband goes away to war and comes back all fucked up and over post-traumatic stress disorder, which used to be called shell shock. Shell shock's a better name for it. And he's all shell-shocked and he's fucked up. And then he gets hooked on Xannies because of the doctor. And then he gets ends up being on the street craving drugs because he can't cope with reality. And the wife looks at him like, yo, get the fuck out. I can't deal with this. But she wants to change him. She can't. But she has to come to accept that this is what reality is. And I like it because it's really like, it kind of, it approaches just shit like how a soldier, like, you look at a guy on the street with a cardboard sign and you must sometimes go and, like, wonder, how did you get here? And this is a really great, plausible way of how a veteran could end up in that moment. And I really liked how realistic it was and how deep it was. This one hit me in the feels. I gave this a 4.5 as a song because it really served its purpose as almost like an empathetic public service announcement to some real type of loss and real shit, but, like, from a point of, like, he's heard this story or it's someone close to him or he knows it intimately, or he just is that empathetic and he feels that deeply that he can come up with this. Either way, I love this one and how it sounds.
I as well gave it a 4.5. I like the creativity behind it. I like the passion and the emotion that is driven through the entire song. Me personally, I think that it's one big story. I think that as the kid, he loses his mother, and then he grows up to starting to go into the war and all this stuff, and then having to deal with the family and the baby, and then becoming homeless. And I think it's just one big, like, kind of emotionally driven roller coaster that is for just kind of giving you this outlook. Like, these are certain situations that can happen. These are different, like Holden was saying, like, there's different sides of the story that we may or may not know when you walk down the street and see a homeless person there. You, like, they could have been somebody who gave their life for, or, like, went and gave their life to protect us or whatnot, and we're just kind of overlooking them. So
that's cool. It's got a really good beat though that fits, like, the tone of the song, and I like how, we're 6 songs in and they've all been kind of different. So I know I like that in an album. I think that it should be almost a goal to have every song kind of feel like a unique experience. I mean, that's my perception. I know a lot of artists, like Culture 2 from Migos. I know it's not really an artist, but either way, Migos, like, they drilled home that sound to fucking death. But I feel like Classified's taking a different route where he's trying to come at it, like, with something new on every track. And I appreciate that. But I'm curious to know from your perception, which is a better approach? Do you think you should try to have a consistent sound that's very similar track to track, or coming at it kind of different is the smarter route? Let me know what you think. Anyway, maybe our viewership has fallen at this point.
This rat race, no one wants to come in last place, so we hustle and we hashtag life is.
All right, Chris, how do you feel about fallen?
I like it. For me, I kind of think there's a lot of different elements in terms of the song. One of the elements that kind of stuck with me was social media. Verse 1, so we hustle and we hashtag life has got no backspace, but it's precious like a glass vase. And I feel like, you know, we are in this time where, like, we're posting our photos and our lives all over the place and I feel like we're trying to make this, like, facade that our lives are better than maybe what they are or whatnot. And if your life is that great, hey, enjoy it, do you. That's all I gotta say. But I also feel like he also then kind of follows up with something later on in the first verse where he goes, finding success doesn't mean you're rich, it means you found your happiness. And I like that type of, like, self-awareness. Like, he's, like, again, he's not really doing it for money. He's not really
That's not what really. I feel about that line.
I don't feel like he's doing it for a more, I guess, soul-searching purpose, fulfilling purpose, whatever you want to look for. I don't think it's materialistic-wise. I like the vibe to this song.
I think he's trying to point out that material wealth isn't necessarily going to satisfy you, and that having a lot of likes or a lot of fame is really the be-all, end-all, because at the end of the day, success is so subjective as to how you feel about the situation. And it's like there's this happiness that comes from success that isn't necessarily going to come with it, because he's probably had a bigger buzz in the past, but he's probably a lot happier now, you know. And I was also like this whole tone of life being fast paced, and throughout that there's loss that gets associated with it, right?
I feel like human disconnect. I feel like, because in verse 2 he goes, finding success is such a gray line. We used to talk face to face, now we talk to FaceTime. Lately all I see is more race, gay, and hate crimes reported.
Just to, like, add to that, in the first
decline.
In the first verse, he's got, like, we live in a confused place. Half the world's starving, the rest is trying to lose weight.
Absolutely.
So I feel like it's, like, overall, like, everyone's kind of fucked up in terms of their disconnect. I do think social media plays into it all.
Right.
And I'm not discounting that at all. I feel like it's kind of questioning a lot of our values as to what's going on in terms of how we...
Seems very, like, very up to date, though. Like, very, like, something that he's maybe noticed, like, for going on maybe the last couple, like, let's say 2 years or something. Like, it's not something that's, like, it's not like a specific point. I feel like he's talking about, like, what we're going through now, like, right now, present day.
He's how we deal with situations, how we react to the various problems in our lives, how we value and measure stuff. Like, there are definitely a lot of people who their entire life is measured by subscribers and followers and shit. Like, fuck. I mean, I stare at my subscriber count far too many times a day, being truthful. And if I go down one subscriber in a day, I feel shitty. And if my account just went down by 1, and then the rest of the week I might gain 15, but I'm so sad that day that I lose just 1.
But
even though we've never had a week over a week where we've gone down, but I get so crushed by that, like, fact. I don't know. I just think life has gone very metric in terms of how we evaluate shit.
I feel like there's a certain... Okay, take us. We look at our subscribers. We analyze the data,
When do you do this? I do this. Go on.
Whatever. Okay, but there's a certain type of grind that you're on. That matters. I feel like if you're just on Instagram putting photos and stuff like that, but you're not really trying to do anything out of it.
I don't think it's about trying to do anything out of it. It's about understanding what success is. So like, you can measure success like I achieve 1 million subscribers on YouTube, therefore I am successful. Or you can look at success like I have managed to find a way to produce videos and make and be creative, and that's success, you know? So there's two ways of looking at it, and I think he's trying to describe that we are so superficial in what we are and our standards for things that we're not really understanding even what a finish line is supposed to be, what a goal is supposed to be. And I kind of like really dig that overall thought. But then, yeah, the hurt in me brings out the hurt in you, but I don't want no one else to lose, and no other hurt will lose the hurt, etc. And I like that chorus where in his desire, it's like he just kind of wants everyone to win. He doesn't want to necessarily bring other people down, but we do live in a culture where all we do is hurt and bring other people down with our hurt. And it's a really strange time to be on the internet, I would say. But I don't know. I dig this song. I give it a 4.25. I think it's right at that average point of this album, in my opinion. It's a good subject matter. The beat's okay. It's all right.
I give it a 4.
Anyway, let's talk about sex, baby. She ain't got to do much to get me.
Then we laugh about it. Smoke a doobie, then we laugh about it. We argue, then we laugh about it.
So the music video to this song, I did watch all the music videos, but this is the only one I thought was really cool. It was like a dance group. It was just a bunch of ladies dancing in different locations, and just having like the time of their life over this. They weren't trying to like impress you with like being super like overly sexual with it. It was just like a bunch of girls dancing. And I thought that was fun because it was a fun visual for this song. I like this, man. This reminds me of Atmosphere's Trim in a sense, you know? Like, you're getting a bit older. The way you want to smash is a little bit different. It's not a young man going to go out and get fucked up kind of game. It's more of a watch a movie and laugh about it, smoke a doobie, laugh about it, argue, then we laugh about it, got me smiling, ain't no way around it type shit,
I feel like this is like his girl.
I feel like it's I don't know. Part of me got the feeling that maybe he's like single or something.
Yeah, I couldn't. That's the one thing I wanted to ask.
So I was like,
if
maybe he's
anybody
single
knows.
now. I haven't really been following. Maybe they got divorced. Maybe he's playing the field. Or maybe he's just criticizing kind of what if situations in his mind. Like if I was dating.
Maybe just to reach. Maybe it's his like relationship with hip hop.
I don't know about that. I think this is about a girl. And I think he's just kind of lay it down. This is what my swag's like, you know?
Right.
And he's got, but this girl, Rockefeller, like I'm Jay-Z, you know? But look, I'm almost 40. And that was a fun line to me. And then, damn, I know it's corny as shit, but look, I'm almost 40 with this. I ain't no horny kid. He's kind of like laying down this, like, I'm too old for the bullshit. Let's be real. I need a girl I can hang with and fuck. It can't just be one. I want a real FWB, if you catch my drift.
But then, like in verse 2, he goes like, "Look, she ain't a boss, bitch. She's the boss, bitch. Literally, her job is to run the office."
Yeah, because he's got some girl whose job is to literally be a boss in an office place, etc. And he's just like, it's so regular. It's such a normal thing. But playing up on the situation, and she'll tell you she ain't flawless. She's got mistakes, and she comes off like a goddess in his eyes. And I thought that was a really cool like verse though, because it's just like he wants some regular ass normal woman who is like, you know, a lady out there in the streets being normal, not really trying to be as promiscuous looking as others, trying to find a safe way to say that, and then gets home and hoes up for him. That's what he wants. And you know, girl next door chick, real chick, you know, regular ass stuff. You know, he just kind of wants a lady who, if he treats her properly, she'll show him how to do all the naughty things. But I feel like over this amazingly fun beat and these great rhymes, it had such respect in the way he's putting his Mac down. I really kind of felt like it was a good song. It's kind of like old man dating game. It's such a different taste on it. It's such a different twist. I'm so into watching these late 30s or mid 40s guys busting rhymes about how they want to get laid. I've been waiting my whole life to hear that shit finally in music, and it's happening. It's so cool. It's like the future. It's like that's what sex is going to be like in 10 years when I'm too old to be young, you know? I kind of dig that shit. Anyway, yeah, I don't have to agree with me.
I just think it was an interesting concept. I don't know. I thought this was a very simple song about his wife. I went on to the side of he's married and he is paying. It's clearly the manager of his office, and he's having a great time. I like the energy throughout the track. I like how he's appreciative of
his office. I don't think he has an office. He's an indie rapper.
Well, The Office.
I thought it was literally like she has a call center and she's the manager of the floor.
Maybe that could be it.
Like your manager at work or whatever, you know.
Right. That could be it. I just thought it was a nice like appreciation for whether it's his wife, girlfriend, or maybe just the women around
Or
him.
maybe it's his mistress. I'm fucking around. I don't actually know.
I gave it a 4 on 5.
That's cool. They're gonna get some cold love from the fans if that didn't connect well.
You know I went at this flat out, but you thought if I made it, you cash out. Oh yeah, I know.
I wasn't sure who Tory Lanez was. I mean, I feel like I've said that literally every time his name has come up that we've been reviewing it, and he sounded very weird.
Tory Lanez was not good on this chorus. I've heard Tory Lanez on other. For me, I've heard Tory on other tracks.
It was
I
very,
don't like this.
It was very overproduced with effects to create a particular sound.
Auto tune all the way.
It's more than that. It's a really like a lot of shit's going on over there. It's fine. I got love for you, yes I do, but you are really true because you are too good at playing cool, thinking what to do. What do? I gave all my seconds, gave all my time in seconds. That was up to you. Okay, fine.
The song's basically breaking down like, be careful who you're friends with, be careful who you surround yourself with, make sure that like, you know, you got your own back. They don't really, and I kind of get this sense where like Classified and Tory are kind of like, expressing like they don't really fuck with fake friends, fake people. They want like honest truth, loyalty, humbleness, honesty.
Or just people who in general are trying to like fuck them over. I mean, Classified's his 3rd decade in the game, and I just got to imagine that over that period of time, he's got a giant list of people who've tried to leech off of him, who saw him as a meal ticket. I think he references people who just saw him as a cash cow. Like, we're hoping that when he popped, he'd just like make it all easy for them. Mm-hmm. And he's just not interested in like that kind of fake bullshit. I love how he starts the second verse with money, does good things, does evil things, pulls people strings, and makes egos big, makes people kings, and do deceitful things. I know. When they ask me about me, would you show me love? Now they ask, and you just kind of like shoulder shrug. Used to hold me up, now you cold as fuck, my bro. Yeah, that's the core of the song right there. It's just kind of like money changes shit. He's obviously got more money than he used to. Situation's not the same. People are kind of weird. People have their own motivations. It's hard to trust anyone. He's a little bit cold. He's a little bit jaded. This song's totally cool. I gave it another 4.25. For me, the beat's all right. It's got a decent sound to it. The premise is okay. His rapping is really tight. I was really like listening to him rapping on this one, and it's when I realized how clear, like, this is an album where you really don't need to read the lyrics because he's so fucking clear on every line that you can just kind of close your eyes and drift off, and you're not like left wondering, trying to make it up. Maybe it's because he's Canadian and his accent makes a hell of a lot of sense to me. And maybe like a southern accent's a little harder to decipher. But I feel like he's just really clear. Like he's super experienced at enunciating on a rhythm properly. And I like that. Anyway, so yeah, that's my thoughts on this one.
I gave the song a 3.7. It's not a bad track. Tory can sing. I know that for a fact. I know that, Classified does do a great job within the song, but it's just not for me. I didn't like the effects on Tory's chorus. I didn't really vibe. I didn't vibe to the track. It's not something that really caught my eye. So 3.7.
That's fine. I ain't saying Chris is a gold digger. He's a Beastie Boy. I don't care if it made sense, okay?
Wake up, never sleep in and let the day pass me. With shotgun to the backseat, when full throttle to hat.
Chris, how do you feel about Beastie Boy? I'll try and even shut up.
I like it. I like the track. I like the energy. I feel like Classified is paying homage to Beastie Boys. Again, restating the old school type mentality, his influences, where he got in all the creative aspirations and stuff like that. I do like when he went, I know that I need to, beginning of verse 2, I know that I need to grow up. I don't know what come next. I've been trying to go the distance, and they missing nothing yet. It's another one of these. I guess I get this feeling like he's kind of just flexing a little bit, giving us his back and forth on what he's been through, the struggle, and then what he's trying to do to move forward. That's really what I took from it, honestly. There wasn't much new for me here, but I did leave it with a 4.
All right, I did it. I shut up the whole time you talked. It wasn't that long though. So the beat's cool. I enjoyed it. It came in proper. For this song, I feel like it's again another 4-ish. I don't know. It's okay. I feel like it's flossing a bit too in his wild style. Like he's just doing what he wants. He's a bit of a rebel. I did really like Gotta Screw Loose Like a Loose Tooth. Acting too cool is not an option. So who's going in then going out? Man, that's an easy choice. Fighting for my right to party like a Beastie Boy. I throw it up and drink it down. What, you don't need another because you don't hold your own like surrogate mothers. I really dug that last surrogate mothers line. But this whole like general sense of, you know, he's kind of going to stay pure to who he is. He's going to go out there and fight for his right to be what he's got to be. And the song kind of played through like that. I felt like I really like his more serious subject matter a lot more. I find it more enthralling. I feel like you're right. There wasn't a lot new here. Maybe his style and delivery is cool, but my favorite part was the beat. I felt like the content was a bit like, okay, I could just gloss over this one. He doesn't say a whole lot that I find super interesting. Like, we waking and you deep sleepers. Yeah, but you don't sound that woke on this one. Shit starters and peacekeepers, you vegans and you meat eaters are needed now like beekeepers. To be fair, the bee situation's not like it used to be. It's kind of moved to a better state. The flow is cold as deep freezers, so put a cold over the t-shirt before you catch a deep fever. Like, I'm just trying to illustrate how I find that a lot of these lines are very regular.
Mm-hmm.
They're not necessarily like profound, shook up the world bars. He doesn't have the heavy emotional tone that was like boosting me up on the other ones. I'm not trying to be a dick. Sometimes I feel really bad when I don't like something. Like I'm supposed to love everything. Like this, I don't know. That sounds like a weird expectation, but still, I give it a 4. It's okay. It's a good song, but like relative to the rest of the album, I felt it a bit weird. Which whatever. You can let me know why I'm wrong in the comments, and I guess we can talk about a very powerful song called "Powerless."
Father tried to touch her. He took advantage of her, took all her innocence from her. She tried to explain to mom.
So Bonnie did like a lyrical breakdown about this track because she saw an interview about the girl that the first verse's story is based on, because it's a true story. It happened like that. The girl got violated a whole bunch of times by the dad and then like went to jail for like 4 months and then got out, and that's just it. And in case y'all didn't know, in Canada there's a big problem. I don't know if it's around North America, but at least in Canada there's a big problem with Indigenous women going missing, being sold into as sex slaves. I mean, it's bad enough that like federal police have been involved in the rackets over the years. The Canadian government has done some atrocious things to our native population. Like we had schools at one point where they kidnapped a bunch of kids and like, you know, gave them to white families and just lied to the parents about it all. Like they would go to like a doctor because their kid had like a flu, and then they would just take the kid and not give him back to the parents. This actually happened. I went to school with a girl who was involved in that like program. There was my age of people who like were being kidnapped. So this isn't like fucking ancient history. I'm like, nowadays it's just regular, all sorts of problems. You hear it all the time in the news, but like we don't really want to talk about it or deal with it. But
the story itself and,
yeah.
and the song itself is very powerful. I unfortunately don't have much knowledge on this subject, so I'm only going to talk about how I feel towards the story itself. I like the fact that Classified is bringing a message. He is passionate about something that's going on in Canada.
It's everywhere, to be fair.
Right, everywhere. This type of culture is happening everywhere, and it's something that needs to be spoken of. So I really commend him on that, for taking the time to dedicate a full track to this type of situation.
Wait, check it. They've been. My grandmother was part white and part Native. Mine too. I can really relate to that. Like my dad's 3rd generation Native. In fact, my high school was part white and part Native. Mine wasn't so much, but he comes from Nova Scotia. Personally connected, I met people who have been affected. They've been asking for some help, but they've been continually neglected. This is true. Like this was an election campaign issue for Justin Trudeau, you know? How many more of these Indigenous women have to go missing before somebody will listen, huh? We need to change the condition. Maybe it's blatant racism, maybe there's hate in the system, but we got to fix it because the people feel powerless and the mothers feel powerless, etc. Or the idea like...
It's scary to hear.
How are these kids supposed to trust us? Man, don't make them feel powerless. Because here's the thing, like, you all can see the narrative. Look at the Kavanaugh situation. I mean, if the conversation is so heated over something like that, you can only imagine how the poor little Indigenous mother that gets kidnapped and, 22-year-old person gets taken away. You're never going to hear about it. You just don't. Nobody wants to talk about it. We all, especially in Canada, like, we like to act like we're some fucking great place where racism doesn't exist, but we treat our native people like fucking scum. And yeah, I really love the fact that he took this opportunity to make such a very powerful song. Like, Bonnie goes into mad detail. Somewhere in this, it would have popped up in the top, hopefully, to like check out that particular video. But like, it is just really like you feel it, and it really, to me, it makes me question like, how can we just stay so, like, we see these news stories come in, they're like little subtext in the bottom, Native women get kidnapped, sex ring gets busted up, blah blah blah. But I don't know, man, it seems like we're also willing to do like these national campaigns for all these fucking issues that are like anything else, but nobody really wants to put an end to these ongoing issue in our local country of Canada. I don't know, this song's a 5 to me. It's my favorite song on the album. I think it's the deepest, most powerful, like, well connected. The video is a bunch of Native women just kind of doing whatever stuff. It was really like done well. Like, he went to a local reserve near him and set it up with them. He doesn't appear in the video. It's really honorable. And yeah, it's really well done. It's a 5 on 5 to me.
Straight 5 on 5.
It's a shame that it's a real shame that like a song like this isn't gonna get more love, you know?
Well, we'll see.
But like his legal marijuana song's probably gonna get more spins or something. I don't know, and it makes me sad. Maybe I'm wrong. You're right. We'll see.
Share this track instead of that track.
The song's been out for a while. It's been out for like 6-7 months.
Oh,
it was on the EP. Like, okay. It's been out for a while.
I haven't seen it.
That's kind of like the point, you know? That's how little people care about this particular issue. Or maybe Classified sucks at promoting. I don't know.
I mean, I don't follow Classified, so I wouldn't be able to see anything.
But you know what we can say about him on maybe a more positive tone?
What?
He's a super Nova Scotian.
Because I'm a legend. Get it? East Coast shit. Class, no, I got no filter.
This has the squad, man. All sorts of Nova Scotian rappers I've never heard of, plus Classified, plus a special guest that's awesome.
I think they all stand up to each other in a different way.
Absolutely.
They all have their own flair.
The beat's great.
The beat's so rugged. It's so like heavy boom bap, but like in your face, like cypher type feel.
When Jordan comes in with that like dope ass chorus, we're not loud enough, about to blow up, and it kind of feels like another hood just trying to make their claim in like this thing. Yo, come on, I'm not a supernova. I'm a supernova Scotian. And I'm like, yeah, go Canada. And then Pat Stay starts us off.
Yeah, go Canada.
I mean, come on. It's not Quebec, but like, whatever. I want to see Nova Scotia pop.
Yeah.
I'd rather see some Canada pop. It's like, I don't care which of the 7 Canadian teams wins the damn Stanley Cup. I'd like to see it come back to Canada sometime, you know? Right. That's my overall feeling of this type of shit. Gotta give some love. Anyway, Pat Stay's good. He comes in proper. It's a lot of stuff. My favorite is like, you can tell that slang Scotian. In Newfoundland, they call you by like Frank Ocean, Beethoven. I wrote deep like with my fucking dogs, scratching my balls with my motherfucking paws. I don't know why, but I just felt so like Eastern Canada type grimy shit. It just felt nice, you know? Classified's fine. Does his verse. I can't say.
They all like...
No, Chris, don't be jealous now. You're sounding pathetic, like disrespecting a veteran on November 11th. Hey, that's Remembrance Day. I don't know if we have the same Remembrance Day. I guess we do. Maybe we don't. Is it? You guys? Is that your Veterans Day? I might be dumb. I'm Canadian. Don't hate me for not knowing all of your holidays, America.
Dude, it doesn't matter. The war was the war.
You know, I'm saying that, but most people watching this are probably Canadian because it's classified. I don't know. Anyway. Chorus again, Skratch Bastid's pretty good.
I like his voice.
I like his voice too. That's a singy dude, right?
Yep.
No, don't hit you hard like fentanyl. Oh, blue and white when the lights keep flashing. Hear the sound, the sirens blasting. I don't know why I like that so much. Really,
it's the voice. It's how he plays off different syllables with his
also
voice.
like
He's got this nice song singy, rapidy rap voice.
But then you can also picture how hard fentanyl would hit you, and that's how hard he's hitting you. Anyway, then there's Quake Matthews, who's fine. He's trying
featuring
some classified in
he's doing like the hype man sounds in the background.
And then, Knucklehead comes in. They're fine. They've got good bars. Everything's proper. But we need to gloss on over to verse 7. Oh, yeah. It's Bubbles here. Sunnyvale Trailer Park. Hard as fuck. In the comments, let us know what show that's from. Okay, y'all know it's fucking Trailer Park Boys. That's some great-ass shit. And Bubbles, the Bubbles, does a whole thing.
Like a
whole 12 bars.
It is, but he talks.
That's why the song got a 4.3 instead of a 4.25 is Bubbles. He actually elevated it a whole 0.5, 0.0, whatever that number is. I really liked his contribution. I thought it was like, if you're really going to talk about that maritime shit, you're going to talk about it, bring in Trailer Park Boys, the #1 Canadian television show of all time.
I mean, I gave it a 4.7, dude. It was booming.
Cool.
I actually like everybody on the track. I really enjoyed having Bubbles there. It was funny when I first started here. I didn't think it was Bubbles.
It was.
Like, I didn't think, well, when I read the name. But then...
That's because there's so many people on Spotify, you can't see the full credit list, so you don't see Bubbles.
And then, you hear his voice, and you're just like, oh, fuck, really? Like, this is super cool. But... I don't know. Like it's a really cool posse cut. It's a really cool Canadian driven, Nova Scotian driven.
It's so different than the Vancouver sound, eh?
Yes.
I don't know what the Montreal sound is yet, but it's probably so different than that.
Mimicking trap.
I don't know. I don't want to be that guy. There's a lot of sounds in Montreal that don't get anything. Fair. Anyway, in the words of Mortal Kombat's deep voice guy,
finish it.
Where we go, so fuck your dress code. When I'm in the place, they don't need to ask.
I was reviewing this when Chris showed up, so I had to like finish it real quick, get it.
This is a really cool song about like
accomplishing goals,
but like in a funny way, like.
No, but like for real, I think that's the best way to put this song. It's like if you set a goal for yourself, finish it. If you're gonna do something, finish it.
But not like right away. Like you don't have to finish it today. Like you can take the time to take a break.
But like at the end of the day, if you're got a job to do, well, finish it. And if you got a problem with who, well, finish it. And if you want to run the race, finish it. And if you're gonna run with Chase, finish it.
I felt like there was a little bit of flexing in here. I felt like he was still like doing the whole bippity barpity bar thing, and then like you mess with me, I'm gonna punch you out or whatever.
Hold on. I just want to bring some fun because he did have fun with it. I ain't here for a participant certificate. When I'm watching porn, I don't finish it because I always come before I finish it. And no, girl, don't be acting like you innocent, getting a little intimate, using a little stimulant. Look, I don't set no deadlines. No, I set goals. Don't cut corners, bro. We Greco. I fucking love that, right? And the next line is like, we go where we want, fuck your dress code. But like, I love the idea that like he has this plan for his life and stuff. Like, and I feel very similarly. Like, I'm on a very slow pace, but I have these big goals I'm going towards, and I respect that. And at the end of the day, if you make all these little jobs and you're consistently focusing on finishing it, on accomplishing specific things, you build an empire. And if you don't, you don't.
Do you feel that the song sounds different? Overall, I felt like the song sounded more modern. More like it had a different sound to it, a different type of vibe. Like it's not, I'm not saying it sounded trappy or nothing like that. No, absolutely not.
You know what it is? It's because in the first verse he doubles his voice for a whole bunch, and that's done a lot, I think. And there's a lot of doubling of his voiceover. But no, I don't think it sounds bad. I think it fits this project. I think it's even a great way to close the project.
I'm not saying it doesn't fit the project.
Because like the first project is like, I'm never gonna.
There was the sound that it was carried throughout the entire project, and then there was this, and I was like,
I felt like it fit in. Personally, I mean, for me, it's cool though, because it's like the first song is like, I'm never gonna quit, and this song is like, finish it, because I never quit and I always finish it.
You gotta finish the album
or accomplish your goals and shit. I mean, for me, this is another 4.25. It's like right there in the album. It's what it is. My original thoughts were like, this is really good, but I realized part of it's a little polished, it's a little flashy. Maybe that's what it is. It's the polish on it. Still, it's a good job. I enjoyed it.
4.5.
Cool. So I guess that's the end of this album, this lovely classified, project, I gave the album a 4.35. I think it's a good sound overall, a generally positive message. It really holds true to the title. It's got varied tracks throughout the project, different sounds. So, like, if you don't maybe like one or two, I feel like most people listening they're gonna like one or two a lot, not like one or two a lot, and then have a good consistent vibe. I feel like that's how a lot of people are. This is not my favorite Classified project for sure, but it's also a really good project relative to his age, where he's at in life, and maybe even what I want to listen to. I feel like when I want to hear some dad rap, that's from Atmosphere there. This is what I want to hear, and this is another good dad rap project for what it is. I like it. I'm like the fact that he's not trying to front like some fake ass shit, and he's trying to put some wisdom.
He's Canadian, dude. He can't.
No, but like, sometimes you'll have a guy at that age trying to front like he's max shit. I'm still 20, living the fast lane life. And maybe a lot of guys do that, but like, I'd rather hear a guy in his late 30s, early 40s, whatever, be going on about some old man shit rather than be going on about some young man shit, because it's different and it's interesting. And for that, I got to give him a lot of props. And it makes me want to hear the next one. It makes me want to go to his next show. It makes me want to show some love, because this is some authentic shit. And go Canada. Yeah.
4.2. I like the album. I think that there is a lot of lessons on this album that I may have skipped over, may have glanced. I'm going to go back to them. I think that I totally agree with the older you get, the album. I feel like albums should follow what you're doing in life, and you can't really tell me you have a family and a kid and all this stuff and expect me to believe that you're still like as deep hard into the game, right?
Well, I mean, maybe if you're like in the top 50 on Billboard and you literally have that kind of flashy career, and you know,
I'm talking like
I feel like part of Classified's charm is that he's not that. He's something else.
But he chooses not to be as well. Like, that's what I like about him. He chooses not to. I feel like if he maybe had that ability to go that far,
he could have, but that ain't classy. To quote his song, that ain't classy.
That's right. I like the album, man. It's really cool. As a first listen of an entire Classified project, I
go back in
really,
time.
really enjoy the different experiences that I got. 4.2.
Awesome. So don't forget to let us know in the comments what you thought of our review, what you thought of this album, what your favorite Classified album is. Did you go through the entire Choose Your Own Adventure series? But most importantly, thank you for watching. It really means the world to me that y'all sit through this and have this conversation with us, especially those of you who comment. Some special love to the patrons, Ismail Gadamsi, Linda Williams, Super Old School 1994, and Chris Prado. These guys have all joined us on Patreon, and in there, if you check it out, you'll see there's a request pool where you get a free request. We do whatever album, and then you get to throw in. And
do they get early access?
Yeah, of course. You always get that. Well, that's the highest tier. But basically, after that's done, once a month, we're going to take an album from that request pool, and everybody's in order. And so you just get to get multiple requests done, and the most obscure shit, the most whatever. It could be your fucking brother's album. I don't care. Whatever you want to see get done, that's all possible over there. Early access to content. We're going to figure out cooler stuff as we build out some more interesting things. I want to get some kind of forum going, maybe a Discord if you're into that shit. Let us know in the comments. And yeah, if you're not into that side of life, feel free to hit that subscribe and show some love like that. Hit that like button if you liked it. Hit that dislike button if you want to be like that. And let us know in the comments which side of how you feel and all that shit. I don't know. Sometimes this gets awkward at the end. Thank you for listening to me sell out, and have yourself a wonderful night.
Talk to us on Twitter. Have a good evening.